Yo 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 yo. What's going on? What's happening? What's popping? How we doing? How we feeling on this fine Tuesday in June? You know what I'm saying? How everybody doing? How we feeling out there, man? How we feeling? How we feeling? How we feeling? Hey, listen, man. We gonna actually get straight to the business on this one. Normally I give y'all a little insight of what I've been doing, what I've been getting into, my hiking adventures, or what have you. But we gonna just hop straight to the business on this one, Atlanta Falcons fans. As I'm sure most of us already know, Julio Jones, Roddy White, and Harry Douglas have a brand new podcast that they dropped about a week ago. They released episode 2 today. And this, even though it's only 2 episodes deep, this was a highly anticipated episode. Highly anticipated because we were finally going to get to hear Julio Jones' side of the story. What, Julio, what's your beef with Arthur Blank? What's your beef with the Atlanta Falcons organization? You know, you retired a few weeks ago and you didn't even mention the Falcons by name. Threw all kinds of salt and shade at the Birds organization because you did not mention the organization's name. So we did pick up on that. So Julio Jones finally tells his side of the story. So y'all come on in, man. We're gonna chop this thing up. Make sure that you do smash that like button as you do come in. Also, y'all let me know how my sound, my volume is, you know what I'm saying, how the sound is. If my sound is bad or if you can't hear me, please do let me know. Yeah, because we've all been waiting to hear this. Because from a Falcons fan's perspective, looks like Julio just left us high and dry when he left here or when he got traded back in 2021. So we all wanted to hear his side of the story. Arthur Blank has told his side of the story about 2 or 3 different times, but we never heard the Jets side of the story. So I was really anticipating this episode. And y'all make sure to go check them out on the I think the name of the app. You only can listen to this or watch this from their app. I think it's called Squad app. You can go to Harry Douglas Instagram or his Twitter and follow the links and listen to it or watch it. As I said last week, these episodes are excellent. The commentary, the dialogue, the conversation is superb. The delivery on how you have to watch it or listen to it, it could be better. But hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. I'm just kind of happy to get some clarification on certain things as a Falcons fan, especially the Julio Jones situation. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna listen to a clip. Julio Jones talks about the trade, talks about Arthur Blank. He also talks about exactly what happened. So we're gonna take a little bit of time out to listen to this clip. Also, this clip is courtesy of Legacy Locker Room Podcast. Again, man, make sure to go check it out, man. If you're a Falcons fan, this is like something that you must watch or must listen to for certain. Also, shout out to James Holloway. This is something that he posted in our Atlanta Bird Game group. So appreciate that, James. You did me a solid so I could just actually react to it from here. But let's get this show on the road.
How everything really initiated. The media would ask questions, get fans to ask questions, things like that, whatever. And they were just like, what are y'all gonna do with Matt Ryan and or Julio Jones? Like, was a package deal. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if the fans asking about certain things, like how you include me in that space. So I text my agent, like, hey.
So Julio's already said, like, man, how y'all gonna ask about me? I'm the Jet. I'm Julio Jones. I'm the most talented player that has ever put on this helmet that has been here for an extended period of time. key phrase, an extended period of time, because I know somebody gonna say, well, what about Dion? Dion was only here, 5 years? So I don't consider that extended period of time. But when you're talking about extended period of time, we have not seen a more talented player than Julio Jones.
Hey, Atlanta trying to trade me. He's like, no, we'll talk, whatever, right? I'm like, all right, cool. So
that lets y'all know, like, no matter what these players say, they hear the rumors. It gets to them. Julio is saying he's called his agent. Hey man, what's going on? The Falcons trying to trade me. Like, what's happening, man? Like, tell me something. So let's keep going.
I'm like, we supposed to set up a Zoom call, right? With AB. Oh no, everybody want to meet
Arthur Blank.
Oh, we want to meet in person. I'm like, all right. So what we gonna do? I'm asking him about the times, whatever. Oh no, not today. Okay, we're gonna do it tomorrow. Okay, 2:00. All right, boom. We're gonna do it. Oh no, we're not gonna do it. Okay, I'm cool. Mind you, the whole season leading up to everything. So by me being there, I had a hell of a coach in Mike Smith, but Dan Quinn was by far my best head coach in the league. He was a player's coach. Like, even now, you see the success he had at the Cowboys.
Oh yeah.
You see what he's doing in Washington. Like, you see what he did in Seattle. Like, he's a hell of a coach. Like, I know, you feel what I'm saying? So,
and he had just got let go.
So the whole thing was, though, they was talking about firing Dan Quinn. And after the game, I had a speech with the team. I'm like, y'all can't. This is not on this man. I'm seeing the locker room. I see how we are. Like, I'm like, this is not on Dan Quinn.
Now, I do remember that speech or meeting that Julio held with the team. It eventually made its way to the not the meeting itself, but the fact that the meeting happened. That was reported, and that is something different from Julio, because as y'all already know, Julio is really not the most vocal leader. So for him to stand up and call a players only meeting, and what I do remember from what was reported about that meeting, Julio was very emotional, he was very vocal, and he was very supportive of Dan Quinn. And so now he's coming back, years upon years later, and he's speaking about it. Like, yeah, that did take place. I did stand up and talk on behalf of Dan Quinn. I did get on my players' asses and telling them, hey man, we got to do better. This ain't no Quinn. Quinn is a great coach. We have to do better.
It's on us. We got to fix this shit. So with that whole thing was, they was trying to fire Dan Quinn, and I had pulled my hamstring. But
also, let me stop this again, because obviously Julio, a part of this matrix of Julio being upset with the Falcons or with Arthur Blank, also is them firing Dan Quinn. And as you just heard Julio say, Dan Quinn is a hell of a coach, which I do believe. As Julio just said, resume speaks for itself. Got Atlanta into the playoffs 2 consecutive years, got Atlanta to a Super Bowl they should have won. Won a Super Bowl. Seattle, went to Dallas, had success as Dallas's defensive coordinator. Now look at him at what the Washington Commanders, has resurrected that franchise. So yeah, his resume does speak for itself. But I will point this out also. As y'all know, the NFL is a what have you done for me lately league. Now, granted, I will repeat it again. Granted, Dan Quinn did get us to the Super Bowl, and he got us to the playoffs a year later. And we had a good team that season also. If we beat Philadelphia on the road in Philly, we have a good chance of going back to the Super Bowl and possibly winning it. But that's spilled milk. Going back to what I was going to say, the NFL is a what have you done for me lately league. Going back and looking at Dan Quinn's tenure with the Falcons, of course, you have the Super Bowl season of 2016. You have the playoffs, where we did win a playoff game on the road against the Rams in 2017. Now, this is where things start to get tricky, Julio. This is where things start to get tricky. And I'm just trying to look at this objectively. I'm a diehard Falcons fan, as y'all know, but that don't mean I won't look at things objectively. This is how I'm going to try to reapproach this situation as an objective Falcons fan. So 2018, the Falcons go 7-9. Okay, cool. Hey, everybody had down seasons. The following year in 2019, Falcons go 7-9 again for consecutive seasons. Now, from an ownership's perspective, and executive's perspective, you're looking at the fact like, hey, we choked in the Super Bowl. We couldn't get the job done next year in Philly. We've had 2 consecutive losing seasons, since the playoffs. And now, again, looking at it from an executive perspective, now, hey, man, Matt's starting to get a little old on us. Julio's starting to get a little old on us. That's 2 consecutive losing seasons, and you're paying these guys, and by this time, these guys both have signed brand new extensions. Matt eventually became the highest paid quarterback in the league. Julio, he had his little mini holdout, even though he technically didn't hold out, but anyway, he eventually became the highest paid wide receiver in the league. So with that said, Arthur Blank and the Falcons front office, they are expecting results at this point. And essentially losing is not an option. We just broke both of y'all boys out. We didn't break y'all off to start losing. So it's not an option. So now you're going into this 3rd season. You're going into the 2020 season. And now Arthur Blank in the front office, they're looking at this like, hey, man, it's either win or else. If we can't win in 2020, then we got to make some wholesale changes. Because at that point, I've been a patient owner. We've been a patient front office with these guys. We're going to give you 3 seasons. And if y'all remember correctly, Arthur Blank kind of alluded to that at times going into the 2020 season. That's one thing about Blank. He will give you subtle hints like, hey, this the year. You know what I'm saying? Like he done gave Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris, they hint this year like, hey, I'm a guy that believes in consistency, but hey, I let them know that that's not what I expected. He said we had a conversation. It was brief, but I let them know that was not what I expected. So going into this season, Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris, they're kind of in the same situation. It's kind of like, hey, either win or we're going to probably make some wholesale changes. But anyway, going back to 2020, the Falcons, not only did they go 7-9 the 2 seasons prior, but in 2020, they went 4-12. They went 4-12 in 2020. And you got Julio make on a $70 million contract. I think Matt is like on a $130 million contract. Deion Jones is making good money. So at that point, it's like, you know what? Dan Quinn, you did a great job getting us to the Super Bowl, but we got to move on. We've given you 3 years to get back on track. And this is after the Super Bowl debacle. So we have to move on. And I get that from a ownership perspective on why Dan Quinn was eventually let go. You cannot continue losing. Then when you only win 4 games, it's like, okay, all right. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. But let's go back to Julio.
I had the training staff, someone in training, they had burnt my hamstring. But I had like 3rd-degree burns on my hamstring, right? So you got to understand, they trying to fire the head coach, and I'm banged up. I'm like, I still took it upon myself to go play a game when I wasn't even 75% healthy. Yeah. I couldn't even get treatment on my hamstring. And y'all understand, like, y'all pull a hamstring, if you don't know, like the ligaments scar down. If you can't get the massage, you can't get the proper treatment to it. So the whole time, my last year in Atlanta, it's like, I'm fighting for this. I'm fighting for my head coach to be here. And then I'm already injured. I ain't saying nothing to the media. I'm not bringing nothing up. I'm not saying.
I do remember that injury-riddled season of Julio in 2021. As he said, there were some issues with his hamstring. I didn't know about the situation about the training staff burning down his hamstring. I wasn't aware of that at all. So that's news to me. I think Jed only played about 9 games that season. And even in the 9 games that he played, he was still nursing that injury. In fact, if I remember correctly, Julio aggravated or got injured or re-aggravated that hamstring very, very, very early in the season. This might have been like week 2, maybe week 3. It happened early in the season, and he kept battling it all season long until eventually later in the season they just shut him down. Like, okay, he's done for the season. But I do vividly remember his last season here.
And they did this to me. I ain't saying nothing about y'all, right?
Yeah.
So the whole time I'm just like, damn. And then all this coming at the end of the year talking about trade. I'm like, they talking about trading me?
So obviously he did not like the fact that his name was in trade rumors, especially once Thomas Dimitroff and Dan Quinn, were fired by Arthur Blank.
And what I'm doing, and y'all know what I'm doing. The training staff know what I'm doing. Every game, every whatever, what I'm sacrificing, what I'm doing for y'all. And we get to the point, I'm just like, damn, these niggas, they talking about trading me?
Yeah, so that's one clip right there. We're gonna look at a few more clips also, but based on what we just watched there, Julio had a problem with the fact that he could not meet with Arthur Blank face to face, which he wanted. He couldn't meet with him face to face. He also, of course, didn't like the fact that Dan Quinn, was eventually fired. Notice that Julio don't say much about the guy that drafted him, Thomas Dimitroff, but obviously he had a very good relationship with Dan Quinn that he valued a great deal. And he expressed that back then, and around the 2020 season. He's still expressing that now in retirement. And also those rumors were starting to creep up, like, hey man, the Falcons may consider moving Julio. And again, Julio was a phenomenal talent. But again, as I just alluded to, once Matt starts to get a little older, Julio starts to get a little older. Julio essentially missed half the season. At that point, a front office will start to say, hey, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time. I know I'm about to screw this old saying up, but there's an old saying in NFL football. You always get rid of a player, and I say this respectfully. You always get rid of a player 1 year too early instead of 1 year too late. So obviously what Julio is saying is there was some chatter going on in the front office in Atlanta saying, hey, maybe we should see what the trade market will be for Julio Jones. We got a super chat coming in. Shout out to my guy, the OG himself, John Harris. Thank you very much, John, for the super chat. Much appreciated as always, my guy. He says, remember the tidbits we found that Julio said, I'm bumping that against I'm bumping that against this here. Stuff not lining up all the way, but Julio did keep his mouth shut though. Yes, John. We actually talked about that. I think we talked about that last time we went live on Friday night, if memory serves me correctly. And John is right. John found some interviews or statements that Julio made, which kind of, bits and pieces of the story is kind of a little contradictory, a little bit at that point in time. And as John also says, big props to Julio. He did keep his mouth shut. And I do respect Julio a great deal for that, because he faced, when Julio was Julio in Atlanta in his prime, he was like, that was our guy. I know this is a quarterback league and a quarterback get all the glory, but within this fan base, Julio Jones was more celebrated than Matt Ryan. That's just what it was. So when he left, he faced a lot of scrutiny from this fan base. He faced an onslaught of criticism and people that turned on him. So for him to go all these years and not really tell his side of the story, that says a lot about him. I'm sure it wasn't exactly the easiest thing to do to remain mute all these years, while people said what they said about you, said what they wanted to say about you, and had all kind of criticism, especially coming from Atlanta, a city, a fan base where you were like, you were royalty, So I know that was difficult for him to remain silent, but that has always been his calling card, being an ultimate professional, and he showed it here also, so I do applaud him for that, because I know that could not be easy. So we're going to continue to watch some more clips on this at this point in time. We're going to watch a clip also. As I was watching the interview or the episode, Julio Jones also let us know that when it was known that he was going to be traded, before us fans really knew, when him and his agent and the Falcons knew, okay, well, we've decided we're going to move on, we're going to trade you, he was negotiating or calling teams, seeing where he wanted to go. He spoke to the coaches at Tennessee, and they told him, well, you're going to have to practice. And when you watch that episode, you can see Julio like, what do you mean I'm going to have to practice? So long story short, basically Julio is saying that Arthur Smith, because, he came from Tennessee. So it's a lot of coincidences in this entire saga. He came from Tennessee. So obviously he was going back telling the coaches, hey, Julio don't like to practice. Julio don't want to practice. Julio lazy when it comes to practice, blah, 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 blah. So we're going to actually watch a clip on that also. And also, y'all make sure to check out the eye test here on YouTube as well. They normally come on every Wednesday at 10 p.m. So if you're not subscribed to them, make sure that you do subscribe to them. I think they'll probably be on tomorrow night at 10 p.m. If so, I'm normally, on the panel as well. Excellent football commentary. So make sure that you are subscribed to them also. Now let's dig a little bit into the Arthur Smith telling the other staff at Tennessee that Julio doesn't like to practice. So let's dig into that.
Practice. I was like, what are y'all talking about? You don't have to practice. Yeah, that's what I do. This is who I am. Y'all don't even know me. And that's a whole nother thing in my head. I was just like, so the new head coach at Atlanta just came from over here. And now these guys talking about, but I have to practice. So the message and the word out that I don't practice. So who's saying I don't practice? There's a whole nother, it's just so much, it was just like so much hate like against me trying to flip a narrative.
And all of it coming together at the same time.
Right. You see, and then another, even with Art, like the whole thing, I talked to some of the players and they were just like, yeah, he got in his head that you don't practice. Right. On me and who I am, and try to make up a persona like, oh, this guy, he does it. Guy's lazy, he doesn't practice. No, what you mean? So I'm listening to, I got all this going on too, because I'm having the calls. I'm on the phone with these, you know what I'm saying, with the head coach and GM. And I'm listening to this.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm like, where would you see that I don't practice or I don't want to work?
But
you're gonna let somebody
worry about you being ran out your damn hamstring.
But listen, you gotta understand, you let somebody come and assess me, that's in their head too. They understand, they saying I don't practice. And you telling the team that's currently there that I don't practice. Right, on me and who.
So in other words, what Julio's saying is they was hating on him. He's saying Arthur Smith was hating on him. He's saying this guy who has never coached me a day in his life is contacting the team that I'm about to sign with and telling them that I'm lazy in practice, I don't like to practice. So basically Julio's saying, hey man, they not only are me and Arthur Blank not getting along, but now the new coach is hating to the new coach is now hating and going to tell the team that I'm going to, their coaching staff, that I'm a lazy player. I don't like to practice. I don't want to practice. Like, where do y'all get that from? As they continue to talk about that segment on the show, Roddy White made a very good point. He said, in this league, in the NFL, you can't put up the kind of numbers that Julio put up if he didn't like to practice, or if he refused to practice, or if he was lazy to practice. He said in NFL, you can't put up 1,700 yards per season if you're not practicing, you know? And that's what Roddy said. And I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be transparent. That's us Falcons fans heard that narrative too. And it muddied the waters on how we view Julio. You know, oh man, Julio don't never practice. Who don't never practice? But now Julio is saying, like, what are y'all talking about? Like, bro, I'm one of the hardest workers at practice. How y'all think I'm making Pro Bowls and all pro teams if I'm just sitting on my ass while everybody else out here practice? Like, what are y'all saying about me? Y'all calling me lazy. So Julio's pretty much saying, you know, that was BS. You know, that is total BS. And he was appalled that the coaching staff at Tennessee is hearing that from the current coaches in Atlanta who never coached Julio. So now we are finally getting to hear Julio Jones' side of the story. And again, shout out to Legacy Locker Room Podcast. I'm sharing this from Falcons Republic Instagram page. Y'all make sure that if you're on Instagram, make sure that you do give them a follow. Great Falcons content creator there. On Instagram. Let's watch another clip here. I'm getting this from Falcons Formula, also on Instagram, also as well. Shout out to Falcons Formula. Let's get some more content on him and Arthur Blank's relationship. Let's see what this clip says.
So
that with a discourse, was that the final straw for you?
Who else?
Like not being able to have that conversation one-on-one.
If the head coach is gone, they let TD go. Who else gonna have that conversation with me?
Because at this point, they haven't hired a head coach.
They don't have a head coach
or GM.
Yeah, they was
have
at this point. They have none of this now. They were just saying They said the new head coach and new GM gonna assess. You don't even know who it is to come in. It's not, who else to be talking to me?
Well, so and also from.
Ooh. Who else should be talking to me? I get his point, y'all. I get his point. A guy that has been here for 10 years, who's been an ultimate professional, never got into any kind of trouble off the field in a city like Atlanta. You know, pretty much gave his heart and soul to the franchise. He's just saying, like, look, if it's over, it's over. We go our separate ways, no hard feelings. But give me the conversation, you know, hey, look me in my eyes and tell me, hey, Julio, we love you. But, you know, we're leaning on going in a different direction. And that's all. And that's really what Julio is saying. Like, he felt like he deserved a meeting with the guy that calls the shots, especially since the head coach is gone. The general manager is gone. So he's saying now, like, who else can I have this conversation with outside of the owner? That's the only constant that has been here since I've been here. You know, what's the issue with me and Mr. Blank sitting down and having a conversation, and whatever is decided upon after that conversation, we shake our hands. I get ready for OTAs in a couple months, or I get ready to go to my new team. But whatever happens. But at least give me that conversation. You know, I'm not some second or third year guy who ain't really did nothing for the Falcons. I'm Julio Jones. You know, I'm Julio. You know, from a sports perspective, like, this is my city from a sports perspective. So I get his side.
Your side of things, you're saying.
So, and then you're going to talk about y'all want to let the new head coach and GM assess me and see if I can play or what I can do. And then I'm reaching out to AB or the Blank. I'm reaching out to him, my agency, whatever it is, and I haven't even had a conversation with him.
I'm reaching out to Arthur Blank, and I can't even have a conversation with him. I really think, well, I shouldn't say I think, I know, I really know this is really the root of the discourse, the root of the aggravation, the root of the beef, and I use that loosely, you know. I couldn't sit down and talk to Blank. At first I got my agents reaching out, and it gets to a point where, hey, I'm being assertive and I'm trying to reach out, and for lack of better words, I'm getting a runaround. You know, he treat me like I'm a rookie. Treat me like I never made first team All Pro. Like, man, I feel disrespected. You know, I feel disrespected. You know, I understand Julio's side, and I'm not taking anybody's side. I'm not taking anybody's side. I'm doing my very best to look at this from an objective standpoint, but I do understand his side. Now that he's finally talking, I understand where he's coming from. I understand the source of his dissatisfaction. I get it. I understand it.
You see what I'm saying? So
is that what a discourse? Was that the final straw for you?
Who else?
Like not being able to have that conversation one-on-one.
If the head coach is gone, they let TD go.
Also, from your side of things, you're saying, I've been dedicated to this organization. I've been here all this time. I play injured. I've given so much. The least I can do is have a conversation.
And like I said, at the end of the day, I just want to have it was just a conversation for me. It wasn't nothing else. Hey, listen, we trade. Okay, cool. I'm fine either way.
I understand what he's saying, y'all. I'm sorry. When he say, I just want a conversation, I'm fine either way. I get that point. I really get that point. When he say, I just want a conversation, I'm fine either way. I get that point, man. It's almost like, Arthur, I know you're a multi-billionaire. You probably got 200 businesses, but like, look, I can't get 30, 45, 60 minutes of your time. Me, Julio Jones, the Jet, you know, I can't have a face-to-face. I can't get a face-to-face. So Julio felt very disrespected. As we say now in modern society, Julio's pretty much saying, I thought we were bigger than that. I thought we were better than that. I thought our relationship was bigger and better than that. That's essentially what he's saying right now. Like, I just couldn't believe that I could not have a face-to-face conversation with the owner.
But you got me. I'm trying to have a conversation with you, and I can't have a conversation with you. I ain't here to beg nobody. But as a man, you can't communicate with me. So I'm just like, shit, you don't care, I don't care.
Ooh, shit, if you don't care, I don't care. As a man, you can't communicate with me, you know. Julio's standing on his morals. And I can't do nothing but respect that, you know. I've been a Falcons fan all my life. I'm a Falcons fan before Julio, but Falcons fan during the Julio tenure, and I'm gonna be a Falcons fan. Well, I'm still a Falcons fan now that he's gone, but that don't mean that I can't see Julio's side as a former Atlanta Falcons player. I understand his side. I do. I understand it.
And it ain't no, you know, tick for tack or whatever it is. It's just like me. I'm about relationships in life. You feel what I'm saying? You gonna rock with me or you're not. You gonna be around me or you're not. I ain't finna fake nothing. Cause if I knew that way early on, I would have been gone.
Yeah.
If I knew if it was gonna be that, you feel what I'm saying? Like, it's all a respect thing.
Also, from your side.
Interesting. As I say, y'all, I get Julio's side, and I keep repeating this. I'm here as an impartial voice. You know, I'm looking at this both ways. I understand Julio's side, and I also want to point this side as well. I understand Arthur Blank's side too. I get Blank's side. Now, to be fair, when Arthur Blank did go public on his side of the story, Arthur Blank never mentioned this part. He never told us that Julio was upset that he requested a meeting face-to-face multiple times, and they could not agree on a time and day to have this meeting. Now, Blank never told that side of the story. When Blank spoke about this, I remember twice he spoke on it. It got to the point I was like, man, Arthur, you got to stop speaking on this. You done spoke on it once, leave it alone. But I remember he spoke on it twice, and his side was always Julio and his team were very dissatisfied about the contract negotiations on Julio's last contract with Atlanta, which I think was a 3-year, about $72 million extension. It was something like that. But Arthur Blank was constant in saying that that's where their relationship soured at. You know, I remember Blank saying Julio felt like the contract was disrespectful in a sense. And Blank was saying that he felt the contract was fair. He made him the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL and you know, Julio essentially got a fully guaranteed deal for a wide receiver who is now over 30 years old. So Blank was saying he felt like it was fair, but Julio and his side didn't feel like it was fair. So Arthur Blank's side of the story was their relationship went bad based on a financial disagreement. Julio's side of the story is basically their relationship went bad because Julio felt disrespected because he couldn't get a meeting with the owner. Now, let me say this. The reason I do say I see Arthur Blank's side, I'll explain that. I see both of these. I see both sides. Again, I'm just trying to keep it funky. The reason I say I see both sides because from a ownership's level. Now, y'all who watching this, what's the most? And I'm looking at the comments now. So y'all help me out and answer this question for me if you don't mind. What's probably the most thing that Arthur Blank has been criticized for over the past as an Atlanta Falcons owner? Y'all do me a solid and comment that. What would you say Blank has been criticized the most for as the owner of the Atlanta Falcons? What's a constant criticism that us fans, I'm not worrying about the media or any other fan bases, when we talk amongst ourselves, what's one constant thing that we always throw mud at Arthur Blank for? Blank, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that. What's the constant thing that we always criticize him for? Bingo, David. That's exactly what it is. Shout out to David Starks. David says too loyal to players. Yes. That has been something that we have criticized Arthur Blank for a long time now, being too close to his players. Yeah, I see y'all coming in now saying IQ shout out says too player friendly and giving. What's up, Brian? He too close to it. Yes, exactly. What's up, Millie Mills? Julio probably be there. ABMF, I want 80 million or else. Heck, dude, would have lost. Millie, you wild. Shout out to Lisa say the PLC. Yeah, that is true. That's true too. But yeah, us fans, man, we have been. I try not to use definitive words. I'm trying to break that habit, so I shouldn't say always. But we have been consistent in our criticism of Falcons owner Arthur Blank, saying he's too close to the players. You know what I'm saying? He Falcon for life. You know, Arthur Blank be getting in the way of business. He always want to, oh man, his loyalty. You know, he treat the players like family. With that said, this is why I say I see his side, because it looks like, and I'm gonna be honest, the past 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 years, Arthur Blank has admitted that he started to step away. He started to step away from from meddling. That's what they call owners in the NFL who always be in the way and let their feelings dictate business. They call them meddling owners. So Arthur Blank has been saying like these 5, 6, 7, 8, man, I'm stepping away, man. I'm hiring football guys. I'm letting them do their jobs. And like for years, we have been so used to saying, oh man, Arthur Blank, he always in the way. He let his loyalty make him make bad decisions. So we have been running with that for so long because that's what we've always seen from Arthur since he's on the team. Even back to when he was pushing Michael Vick in a wheelchair, you know. But it seems like he really did start to step away a little bit. It seemed like he made that decision. Like, look, I gave Thomas Dimitrov, I gave Dan Quinn 3 seasons to get it together. And this is after I done paid all these big name players, Julio, Matt, Devontae. Who else got some money around that time? I think True Fun got money at that time. You know, he was just dishing out money. You know, I gave him 3 years. And I understand some players were not going to be happy with a player's coach getting fired. It is what it is. NFL stands for not for long. You know, former Falcons coach Jerry Glanville was so famous in saying that. So I gave him 3 years. So, like, I'm going to make this decision to move on. After three consecutive losing seasons, in the final season, you only win 4 games. So I'm making that decision to move on. So when Julio now wants to meet with him face to face, Arthur now is Arthur is moving himself away from the loyalty part. He's, from my perspective, let me start off by saying that from my perspective, he's trying to stop letting his heart make business decisions. And that's something we've always criticized him for. So he's pretty much on this now. Okay, I just fired the GM and the head coach. Now, Julio, I get that you want to meet, but I'm trying to transition to the next GM and the next head coach. And I know you was already upset about Dan Quinn being fired, and now you're hearing that the Falcons may trade you. Blake is just trying to pretty much say, look, if the next head coach and the next general manager come in here and they want to do things this way as far as personnel in the roster, I'm going to let them do it. I'm going to let them do it. Like, I'm trying to stop being a meddling owner. So I get it from Blank's side, because I'm sure Blank already knew what the conversation was. And I'm not saying that means Arthur should not have had a face-to-face conversation with Julio. But when you start to have face-to-face conversations with players from an owner's perspective, and of course, I'm not an owner, I'm just giving y'all my opinion, that can be perceived as not good for business. Okay, now you're a little too close to the players. You know, where's the chain of command at? What's the chain of command? And maybe Arthur Blank was trying to get his new GM and a new head coach in. Okay, first, Julio, talk to the new head coach, talk to the new GM. Then if we can't get your concerns addressed in that chain of command, then, you know, you can come knock on my door and I'll have the face-to-face meeting with you. So I get it from the owner's perspective as well. He's trying not to let himself fall back into that trap of being too close to his players. You know, I get that part too. And I get Julio's part too. You know, Julio felt like, hey, man, I've been here 10 years. I've been like your best player since I've been here. You know, I done did this, I done did that. I saved the Super Bowl and we still find a way to choke it away. You know, hey, man, you can't give me 60 minutes face-to-face. You know, you can't give me 60 minutes face-to-face. You know, like, bro, like, that's disrespectful. I get Julio's side. And I get Arthur's side that he don't want to get back in that trap of being too close to the players. Like, look, I'm going to bring in a new GM. I'm going to bring in a new head coach. And they going to handle the football stuff. You know, I done got up in age. I just like to sit back in my yacht, you know what I'm saying, and look at my stocks and money and go fishing or go golfing. Like, I'm moving away from that. And again, Blank has been telling us that the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Like, man, I'm not making personnel decisions. So when the word was, as Julio has been saying in this video, when the word was the new head coach and the new general manager will assess the roster and make decisions based on that, Julio did not like that for a specific reason, because that that really is that's really being said to him indirectly. Like if the new head coach, general manager, they want to trade you, it is what it is. Arthur Blank ain't gonna stand in the way. That's for Julio and Matt Ryan. That's who that conversation was for Julio and Matt. Because you only make those conversations about your two mainstays, your two highest paid players, the two who have been here forever, Julio and Matt. So, like Julio said, when man, they were talking about rumors of me and Matt Ryan getting traded. And I said this before, and now I see it was the case. Terry Fontenot was the cleanup man. When a new general manager came in, it was like, hey man, I ain't got no loyalty to y'all. I think you guys are wonderful players, but I ain't got no loyalty to Matt Ryan. I don't have any loyalty to Julio Jones. I'm here to build a roster that I think can win the Super Bowl. So whereas Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitrov might have looked over certain things, like I'm not gonna do it. Got another super chat from our guy John Harris in the building. Thank you very much, John. I do appreciate you as always, my brother. He says, remember who AB is? He's a white hat. I don't want to get in trouble with Instagram. I mean, not Instagram, but YouTube. He's a white hat. What did Jesus do to show he was humble? Foot washing for his apostles. Arthur didn't think that was wrong by doing something. Oh, so John, you went deep on that one. You went deep on that one. And I don't think, based on what you're saying in the comment, John, I don't think Arthur Blank felt like he was doing wrong. I feel like Blank thought he was doing what was best for his organization, best for the Falcons franchise. And I don't think he wanted to get into a situation where, okay, now I got to meet with Julio and Arthur probably know he's a pushover at heart. You know what I mean? I'm in a situation, then I have this meeting with Julio, and you know, I generally do have a lot of love for him. Then, you know, eventually Matt Ryan gonna want a meeting, you know, to try to solidify himself in Atlanta. And I got a lot of love for Matt. And before I know it, I done gave these guys my word. All right, well, I promise you that I won't let the new general manager come in and trade you. I give you guys my word. And if he's saying that to them, then what's the point of hiring a new general manager? You might as well just let Dimitrov stay here. If you want to keep things as is, if you don't want to make no wholesale changes, then just keep Thomas here. You know, and I'm sure Thomas would have probably kept Matt here. He'd have kept Julio here, and you know, we did. And Dan Quinn, we just kept it like we've already had it. But when you bring in the cleanup man, a new general manager, they here to clean up. You know, they are here to make some wholesale changes. They are here to clean up, and that's exactly what Fontenot came in and did. You know, and if y'all remember, I'm sure y'all remember. If y'all remember when Terry eventually got here, he started saying like, look. And I'll paraphrase it, but he started saying like, hey man, ain't nobody safe on this roster. Like I'm not here to babysit nobody. I don't have any loyalty to anybody on this team. I have not drafted a single soul yet on this team. So my loyalty to this current crop of Falcons is very low. So I remember Terry kept saying, we're going to evaluate every single position on this roster. He was talking to Julio Jones and he was talking to Matt Ryan. They'll be your two biggest stars and your two highest paid stars. That's exactly who he was talking to. In fact, let's look at this. Let's look at this that I have on the screen right now. This is some bullet points that Terry Fontenot said when he was initially hired by the Falcons in January of 2021. I won't read everything. I'm just going to read a couple things. Terry Fontenot said he wanted to have a strategic draft. Fontenot expressed his intention to prioritize drafting the best player available. Oh, we heard that so much. Rather than solely addressing immediate needs. Another bullet point that Terry said, open to all positions. He stated that the team shouldn't be afraid to draft players at any position. Julio, Matt, even if they appear to be strengths. Julio, Matt, he's indirectly talking to Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. And Julio Jones realized that. He realized what the general manager was saying. He didn't like it. So he wanted to talk to Arthur Blank and like, hey, what's going on? Are y'all talking like it probably would be better, to move past me, to move past Matt? Just let me know up front. I can deal with it. I'm a big boy, I've been paid handsomely by you. If that's the deal, just tell me to my face. That's the deal. And man, we'll shake hands and no love lost. Also, here's the key part right here. No player is untouchable. Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, he indicated that no player is untouchable and that tough decisions may need to be made. Let me repeat that again. Terry Fontenot, when he initially got hired, this was everything he was saying. No player is untouchable. He indicated that no player is untouchable and that tough decisions may need to be made. In other words, don't be shocked if I come in here and number 2 is escorted out the door and or number 11 is escorted out the door. Don't be shocked. He's telling you, I'm here to be the cleanup man. Don't be shocked. And when Fontenot gets here, number 11 escorted out the door almost immediately. 1 off season later, number 2 gets escorted out the door. Terry came in telling us all of this stuff. He didn't hide it, and I'll give Fontenot credit on that. He didn't try to sell nobody a 16 bottle of water at the ocean. He just let you know what it's gonna be. I'm evaluating every single position. So I give him props for being transparent. He let everybody know what the deal was gonna be. He let everybody know what the deal was gonna be before it even happened. So I give him props on that. Matt got out of here and Julio got out of here. And to be quite honest, we shouldn't be surprised. They were no longer winning. We shouldn't be surprised. And I know we're really focusing on Julio, but this is part of this conversation. I know a lot of Falcons fans when it happened. There are a lot of Falcons fans today. They'll say, oh, man, Falcons did Matt Ryan so wrong, man. They did him so wrong. Falcons did Matt Ryan so wrong. Oh, man, how you do Matt Ryan like that? And I told people then, I still tell people today, the Falcons didn't do Matt Ryan wrong. It's a business. Hey, man, like when you stop winning, you become expendable in this league. When the winning stops, you become expendable. The winning stopped when Matt Ryan signed his final contract extension in Atlanta. And y'all can research this, but it's a fact. But you can research this. When Matt signed his final contract in this extension in Atlanta, the Falcons never had another winning season going forward. Never. When he signed that final contract extension, we never, ever had another winning season, and neither did he. Even when he left here and went to Indianapolis, he did not have a winning season. So when a new general manager comes in, that's what they do. They try to assess, like, hey, man, what can we get rid of, man? Like, hey, if we got to, look at trading Matt or trading Julio and, it take a 2-year hit on the salary cap, all right, that's probably what we're going to have to do. So I get everybody's side. I get Terry Fontenot's side. I'm not here to coddle Matt and Julio. If I'm looking at y'all and I'm coming from the Saints, well, we was really beating y'all, every year. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get some younger guys in here. I'm gonna try to get a younger arm in here. I'm gonna try to get a better hamstring in here. So also let's revisit. Let's revisit this. Now that all of this done hit the fan, let's revisit an old Terry Fontenot interview. Let's revisit this.
There's a temptation to not want to rebuild because there's a lot of talent, especially on offense. And after you guys draft Kyle Pitts, it even takes another step forward. But again, there are financial realities of this.
Okay, he mentioned Kyle Pitts, and I'm going to go ahead and say this. I'm going to say this since all of this, you know, has hit the plateau. In a perfect world, if Julio and the Falcons don't have their, if they don't go their separate ways, and Julio comes back to play in 2021 instead of getting traded, the Falcons do not draft Kyle Pitts. It does not happen. It doesn't happen. If Julio would have stayed on the team and not gotten traded, we do not draft Kyle Pitts at 4th overall in the NFL draft. I promise you that it does not happen. It would not happen. If Julio stayed on the team in 2021, we don't take Pitts at number 4. Kyle Pitts was drafted because obviously there were months and months of all this stuff going on behind the scenes that we finally know about now. So the Falcons know, like, okay, you know, we gonna Julio upset. Him and Arthur Blank ain't getting along. Terry Fontenot coming in like, hey, you know, it might be time. So now you go and you looking for Julio's replacement. You know, we got sold by some that, oh man, the plan was to have Julio and Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley and have the best offense like we had in 2016. No, that was plan B. Once things went awry with Julio in the front office, Kyle Pitts became an extreme priority because the franchise knew, Terry Fontenot knew, Arthur Smith knew Julio won't be here. So let's go ahead and get his replacement now while we can. And they kind of looked at Kyle as a modern day version of a Julio. 6'6", built like a created player in Madden, 4.4 speed. Okay, you know, well, we're about to lose a jet and we're going to draft another jet. But again, if Julio stays, Kyle Pitts is drafted at 4. I promise you that. I promise you that.
This whole thing. So when you guys made the decision to trade Julio, what is the prevailing motivation there? What would you say is the number one reason you felt like you had to do that?
Well, again,
y'all can y'all hear the volume on this interview? Because it's coming low in my headphones. Somebody let me know if y'all can hear it. If you can hear it, just let me know, yeah, we good, or give me a thumbs up. Can y'all hear it? Because it's real low in my headphones. I guess when they recorded this, their volume was low. So y'all just let me know. I'm gonna keep playing it, but if it's low, y'all let me know.
Obviously a good player, and we wish him success in the
Thank you,
future.
John.
But look, there were other football players that we moved on from as well. And whether we
Terry said, look, we appreciate we did, but there were other players we moved on from as well. Like Terry up there pretty much stuttering, just saying, hey man, shit happens, bro. Shit happens. Like y'all saw them in the last 3 years, they couldn't win. Why we gonna keep these core players here who can't win? Like, no, that's not why I came here.
Players that we had to cut, or players that we decided not to re-sign. And again, outside looking in, that can be difficult sometimes, I would say, for fans and for me to say, okay, why do we move on from this player? Why do we trade this player? Why do we cut this player? But when you have all the information in the building, then you understand.
Oh, man. I did not know what that meant then when this interview transpired, but I know now. I know now what that meant. When you got all the information in the building, when you know Julio is unhappy, him and Arthur Blank no longer seeing eye to eye. You know, when you know what's going on in the building, you don't ask certain questions. When you know shit has hit the fan and both sides got to move on, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Oh man, let me rewind that. But Terry kind of cooked a little bit on that one.
Okay, why do we move on from this player? Why do we trade this player? Why do we cut this player? But when you have all the information in the building, then you understand why all these things happen.
In other words, y'all don't know how bad their relationship had gotten with Julio. The relationship had gotten terrible with Julio. That's what he's saying.
But every decision we make, it is going to be for the betterment of the team, the betterment of the organization, right now and in the future. And sometimes you want to, again, one of the great things about Arthur Smith is his mindset isn't where you'll get some people that they're just worried about this season, this game, and it's hard. You want to have tunnel vision. It's hard to see the big picture and understand that big picture. Sometimes you can make decisions that could hurt you right now, but they're going to help you big picture in the long run. And so,
in other words, you know what? The fans are going to be upset with us now. In the short term, they're not going to understand it. But the long term, it'll eventually come out. That's what he said. Everything will eventually come out. This won't stay a secret forever. It will eventually come out, and that's what we're seeing. Everything is coming out now. That's what we're seeing.
With us, we're always going to make those decisions. We're trying to build a championship roster, a championship organization that's going to have sustained success. We're not trying to get the very best team that we can get in 2021. We're trying to put together a team that's going to continue to win long term. And it's always going to be about team. It's never going to be about an individual unless we're talking about, whether we're talking about the locker room or we're talking about someone on the staff or myself, or it's never going to be about one person. Look, this team hadn't won in the last 3 years. So we have to make change.
Y'all, what did I just say? This team ain't won the last 3 years. What did I just say? The cleanup man. That's the cleanup man.
It's not about one person. It's going to be about the team. And
this team ain't won the last 3 years, so we got to make changes. It's not about one person. It's about the team. And now, like I say, now that we got all the information, we can look at this from a hindsight perspective. It's almost like, well, yeah, Julio and Matt, they were traded when it was time for them to be traded. All that Falcons for life stuff was just a facade.
And we're going to put together a smart, tough, highly competitive football team, and that's how we're going to win games.
How do you think that decision benefits you in the long term? Is it financial? Is it giving other guys opportunities? Where do you see the hidden benefits of making a move like that?
Well, it's everything. I mean, it's, again, I don't want to specifically focus on just making that decision because there are a lot of factors in that everyone, it's just not fair. The way we operate.
There are a lot of factors in that. In other words, there were a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes when I got this job. Y'all just don't know it yet.
We're going to always be internal and keep things in-house, so I can't always go through all the details of every decision we make.
We're going to keep a lot of stuff in-house. Y'all just don't know what a mess it was. Y'all just don't know what a mess it was, We came in here and Julio and Arthur Blank, Julio and Arthur Blank, they had some issues. And by the time we got here, Julio, he didn't really want nothing to do with us. He didn't want nothing to do with us. Him and Blank weren't getting along. That's the part y'all don't know. Clean up, man.
And I know you respect that, but it's one of those situations that when we looked at all the information and this is what was best for our team right now, and it's going to be best for our team in the future.
So when you're looking at what you guys are going to do at number 4, obviously that.
Okay, so we'll go off that. They're going to a different topic, but it's all there, y'all. It is all there. There's another clip that I'm gonna have to play this from my phone because I don't have a visual clip, so I do apologize. But this is Julio Jones speaking about the first time Arthur Smith contacted him by telephone. So let's listen to this. Y'all let me know if the sound is bad.
It's just like, yeah, it was so much fun. It's fun. It's just like,
you growing, you building. It's like you sacrificing, you doing a lot of time, you putting a lot of stuff, a lot of effort.
Hold on, y'all. Pardon me. I don't have that key right. My bad. Let me go back a little bit. My fault. I think this is it.
So I'm in the Bahamas. I'm training in the Bahamas, right? I'm out there with Jimmy.
Y'all let me know how the sound is. You know, if we good on the volume, let me know. If we bad on the volume, let me know. Because again, I'm streaming this from the phone. So y'all let me know how the volume sounding, y'all, please.
Max Fit. But I'm out there training. Arthur Smith called me. I think he FaceTimed me or something. I don't know. I'm gonna call with him. Hey, you sure you want to go? You don't want to be here? You want to? What you mean? But this, I told him. I said, listen, this don't concern you. This don't got nothing to do with.
Oh man, that Alabama came out of Julio deal. Like, but what you mean? This don't concern you. This ain't got nothing to do with you. See, Julio was already hot before Arthur Smith called. He was like, this ain't your business. Who is you? I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all what happened in that phone call. I'm gonna let Julio finish talking, but I'm gonna tell you what he ain't gonna say. He cussed Arthur Smith ass out. I'm just gonna tell you how it is. I know. See, I'm a country boy, and I know when folks start talking that country stuff, and you know, and when them voice inflections, and when that dialect change, he cussed Arthur Smith ass out. He cussed Arthur Smith ass out, and at that point, Arthur Smith knew. He probably got back on the phone, called Reese McKay. Yeah, man, it's not gonna work. I just tried to call Julio. He cussed me out, man. He don't want nothing to do with us. He don't want nothing to do with us, man. He cussed my ass out right here on the phone. Yeah, I FaceTime him and he cussed me out. Yeah, it's not gonna work, man. I never been cussed out like this before. I never in my life been talked to like this before. You know, I'm a son of a billionaire. You know, people don't cuss me out. This man cussed me out, and it makes it so bad. It looked like he was at a beach, and he's cussing me out at a point in time when he's at a beach. No, that's not gonna work. Lisa said replay that part. Okay, let me replay it. Y'all listen to it. You can tell Julio cussed his ass out, man. He poor Arthur Smith. Poor Arthur. All right.
Even for him to allow someone else to make that type of decision
without having a conversation.
Is crazy to me, right? But how it is. But so I'm in the Bahamas. I'm training in the Bahamas, right? I'm out there with Jimmy, Max Fit. But I'm out there training. Arthur Smith called me. I think he FaceTimed me or something. I don't know. I'm gonna call with him. Hey, you sure you want to go? You don't want to be here? You want to? What you mean? But this, I told him. I said, listen, this don't concern you. This don't got nothing to do with you.
I said, boy, what you mean? This don't concern you. This ain't got nothing to do with you. But I'm telling y'all, he cussed Arthur Smith ass out. I promise you that. He cussed him out.
At all.
Because he just
This ain't even your space to be speaking on or talking about.
Yeah.
This ain't your space.
I will say this about Art, because Art wanted you in Atlanta.
I don't give a damn what
I'm telling y'all, he cussed Arthur Smith out. Look how he talking now. I don't give a damn. I'm like, you don't call me with no bullshit. Well, I'm telling y'all, he cussed Arthur Smith out. Wow. And after that, Arthur Smith like, yeah, it ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work. It ain't gonna work.
I know, but
He wanted you there, and part of him taking that job is like, you know, I'm about to have this bona fide number one.
no, man, it's bigger than art. Because again, it's like I can't go play and give my all to something when I know it's some bullshit. Just because, like, again, it's just like, yeah, it was so much fun. It's fun. It's just like you growing, you building. It's like you sacrificing. You doing a lot of time. You putting a lot of stuff, a lot of effort, and it's one space to be successful. And like by you having somewhat of a, like the team was having a down year.
Yeah.
Like, and then too, like even myself, right? I look back and I like myself. I know.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, man, as you listen to this episode, man, now that I've heard Julio's side, because I had heard Arthur Blank's side, but now I've heard Julio's side. I mean, I look at this totally different now. When I listen to him talk, the observations that I made, he technically never wanted to get traded. He didn't want to get traded. What he viewed and felt was just the ultimate disrespect. He could not ignore it. It's like at our jobs, our regular jobs, we've been at our jobs 10, 15 years. And if our manager or if our owner, we feel like they have done the ultimate disrespect for us, we go look for another job. Like, okay, I gotta go, I gotta leave. That's essentially what happened with Julio. Now that I'm hearing his side, it's not what I thought it was initially. It's not so much that he gave us his ass to kiss, but I think he felt like he was forcibly backed into a corner, and he had to live by his morals. So I look at the situation totally different now. Now that I've heard his side. And as the old saying goes, there's three sides to a story. We've heard Arthur's side, now we're hearing Julio's side, and somewhere in the middle, this is true. Because I'm sure there's some things on Julio's side that he's conveniently leaving out. I'm sure there are some things on Arthur's side when he spoke about it that he conveniently left out. But both gave their side, and again, somewhere in the middle, there is the truth. Also, Roddy White, shout out to my guy Roddy. That's my all-time favorite Falcons player. Roddy revealed during this whole situation, when Arthur and Julio were not getting along, that he was talking to Julio. He was trying to persuade him to stay, despite the issues that they were having. So let's listen to Roddy as he talks about trying to convince Julio Jones to stay on the Falcons, despite getting slighted as Julio saw it.
And then I can tell him how I feel about the situation. And whatever come from that, we can rock with it. You know what I'm saying? And then we can go out here, and if I got to go this way and you go that way, then that is what it is. But for me, it's like when I'm watching, and I had a bunch of conversation with Hoop prior to his departure. I was like, yo, man, I don't want you to leave, because it's like, this like your franchise. Like, you get to do exactly whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? And my fear for him is like, if you leave here, like you go to another organization, they may not value you in that sense. Like, from anything, I'm saying from the city to everywhere you move, to everywhere you go, you know what I'm saying? From everything, from the infrastructure, everything that you need to play top-notch football on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't want you to leave, because I want you to continue to be the same person without being uncomfortable in those situations. Because you could get uncomfortable because the people that's in the training room, you don't know them. You know what I'm saying? The people that you got to get, because this nigga go through body treatments. You know what I'm saying? For Sundays, right? The massage therapists and stuff like this. Now you got to bring your own people in. You got to fly these people here. Yeah. They got to make sure that they can make time. When you had everything in your inner circle, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't want you to leave. You know what I'm saying? Because you so implanted into the city, into this organization, that I don't want you to feel uncomfortable, because if you comfortable, I know what you're going to do every Sunday you go out there. You feel me? And I just wanted to see that, because I just felt like at that time he was playing such good football. You know what I'm saying? And you was on top of your game. I'm like, man, you just got to stay even if you don't want to. And you was like, nah, right? No.
Julio said, F that, I'm out of here, man. But that's Roddy White saying he talked to Julio Jones, and he said he talked to him plenty of times that he tried to convince him to stay, despite how he was feeling. And I'm not surprised that Roddy tried to talk to him that way. And you can kind of tell during this conversation that Roddy tried to come from a more neutral, level-headed perspective. Because Roddy's relationship with the Falcons is still great, from what I can tell. He still speaks highly of the Falcons. He's been involved with Atlanta since he officially retired. So I could see Roddy, talking to him, and that's when conversation goes from two friends talking about a situation to big bro talking to little bro. Like, hey, I get you upset. I get you want to leave. I get you feel disrespected, but you're not going to have the same support system elsewhere that you've already got implanted here in Atlanta, that you're comfortable with. You know this person, you know the fans. When you go to Tennessee, or wherever you go, like Roddy said, you got to start flying people out. You don't know the support system is going to be the same. And that's pretty much the conversation or the gist that I got from what Roddy is saying. And I think Roddy made a very, very valid point in that also. And but as we kind of wrap up this conversation, it all boils down to Julio not getting a face-to-face meeting that he requested with Arthur Blank. Now, I don't do this often, but I'm gonna do it this time. I'm gonna pat ourselves on the back here at ABG, because those of you who watch the channel a good bit or have been watching in the past, y'all know we put this out almost a year ago. We put this out last year in 2024. So y'all who've been rocking, y'all know we've already discussed this. We are a very, very small channel, which is fine, but we already put this out. We already put that Julio got upset because he couldn't meet with Blank face to face. We already had put that out. It wasn't on Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport or none of the bigger Falcons media publications. We been put that out on ABG. Like, look, this is why they beefing. This is why Julio ain't messing with the Falcons. This is why Julio ain't messing with Arthur Blank. We've been putting it out, and we're gonna actually go back. We're gonna just briefly listen to that episode when we put this out. We put this out last year. And shout out to Instagram page Falcons Time, because they actually reposted some of what we said on their Instagram page. Y'all make sure y'all follow them on Instagram, Falcons Time. They reposted some of the content we put out about the situation on their Instagram page once, and they tagged us in it. And I remember I was reading through some of the comments, and I remember some nerd was like, hey, well, why don't we actually wait for a professional source before we just run with this story? And I didn't say that to him. I just laughed. I'm like, okay, that's how you feel. Little do you know, we've been in these Falcons streets for damn near 40 years, champ. We've been in these Falcons streets for damn near 40 years. There's some other stuff that we know that we ain't put out. That there have been inbox conversations with players on things that we know over here that we won't speak on. But again, we gonna pat ourselves on the back because we put this out first. We put this out first. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to us. Okay, so here we go. An Atlanta entrepreneur reached out to me and he said, Julio was at my restaurant and made it super clear he would never come back to the Bengals.
If it's a lie, he told it. But he said all the Blanks treated him like shit in the end. Because he asked for 2 meetings and the Blanks refused to meet him until it was too late. He also said if they try to put him in the ring of honor, he will not show up. He was clear the relationship is severely broken. None of us know the real truth. So I just keep my opinions to myself. Who are we to judge?
Yeah, man, we put that out almost a year ago. You know, we put it out almost a year ago. So shout out to us over here at ABG, man. But in closing, man, you know, wrapping this thing up, man, there's some more sound bites that I wanted to play, but well, let me play this because I think Julio does address the fans during this one. Let's listen to this because he does address the fans. So let's listen to this one. Let me find it here. Yeah, let's listen to this when he addresses the fans.
Working on it. What would you say to fans? Because there's a lot of them, man. I run into a lot of them, even when I'm dropping my kids off at school. What would you say to the fans who probably don't understand the ins and outs of the business side of the National Football League when it comes to you in your situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, like you're saying, just the business side of things. You can't have it personal if you don't understand how you got to take both with the same grain of salt. That's how I feel. Like, as a fan, like, they let a guy go, say his production ain't there, right? They let him go. But also on the flip side, y'all just signed this guy to X amount of money, and then now y'all don't want to pay him all his money, but you just give him a little guarantee. Or this guy come in and he gets injured on a big contract, but he's always banged up. He doesn't get his money. But it's for business. It's business now become letting you go because you're not doing nothing for us. It's business, right? But how come if I'm doing something for you, it's an issue now if something happens and people don't see eye to eye? The thing is, all the fans just think, I just said, you know what, I'm done with Atlanta. I'm just gonna leave. I'm gonna pack up and go.
Because that's the part I want you to explain because a lot of people feel like that's the way it was.
Right, and I let it, but you gotta understand me though. I don't talk, I'm chilling, right? So it's been 4 years. I haven't said nothing. I let everybody create a narrative of who I am. Like, ask my teammates, ask my coaches. You'll see. And then even with Art, like the whole thing, I talked to some of the players and they were just like, yeah, he got in his head that you don't practice.
Okay, we all listen to that part. But yeah, that's Julio, you know, addressing the fans. And again, I do salute and respect Julio for being quiet and not speak on this until he officially retired. That's the professional thing to do, you know. And I know, that wasn't probably easy for him, but you know, I do salute and respect him for that. In closing, I'm gonna say this. Even though I now see both sides and I understand both sides, I think in hindsight, although the Falcons still ain't won yet, you know, they hadn't had a winning season yet, I'm gonna say I do think Terry Fontenot was absolutely correct in the way he approached the scenario when he initially got the job as the general manager, because when you go back and look at Julio Jones, much respect to Julio Jones, but Julio's final season in Atlanta, he played 9 games and he had 771 receiving yards. His final season in Atlanta, which was in 2020. And after that, and I say this respectfully, you know, I'm not saying this to try to dump on Julio, but again, I'm looking at this from both sides. But after that season, it was all downhill for Julio as an NFL player, for somebody of his stature. It was all downhill. After 2020, he only had, the following year in Tennessee, he only had 434 receiving yards, and he only had 31 catches and they ended up releasing him. Then he goes to Tampa, and he only has 299 receiving yards, 24 receptions. Final year in Philadelphia, he only has 74 total receiving yards for the whole season and just 11 catches. So in hindsight, Terry Fontenot was absolutely correct. Julio, his best seasons were far behind him, and although we have not turned a winning season yet, the right thing to do was to trade him. The same thing for Matt Ryan. You know, everybody was up in arms. Oh man, the Falcons trade Matt Ryan. Oh, they're gonna be sorry about that. He's gonna go to Indianapolis and win the Super Bowl, and the Falcons gonna look stupid. Oh, they did Matt Ryan so wrong. I don't have his numbers in front of me right now, but when Matt was traded from Atlanta to the Colts, he was one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Easily. He was a running turnover machine. I think at one point he had more turnovers than he had touchdowns. Matt Ryan was absolutely finished. I mean, he was finished when he left here. And the respect that I have for Julio and Matt, I'm not going to use the typical banter that I'll use for players when they're over the hill and they're out there tarnishing their legacies. But when Matt left, when Matt was traded, and when Julio was traded, they were done. It was over. The moment they left Atlanta, they both hurt their legacies, how they were viewed, how people looked at them. They both were totally done. So in hindsight, Terry Fontenot and his talent evaluators or whoever, they were absolutely correct. You evaluate every position, and they were correct that it was time for Matt to go, and they were correct that it was time for Julio to go. But I'm very, very glad that Julio has spoke on this, you know, gave his side of the story. And those of you that are in here and those of you that's going to watch this on the replay, make sure that you do hit that like button for me, man. Make sure to hit that like button for me. Helps out the channel a great deal. But I'm glad to hear Julio finally speak on this, and I see the situation in a totally different light, because when Julio left, I was very, very disappointed in how he left and the things that I saw. I was disappointed in him wearing the Cowboys sweater, even though he never addressed that. But that's cool. That really don't mean a whole lot. I was very, very disappointed on him hopping on the Shannon Sharp TV show and the phone call. But now that I know that he did not know he was being recorded, a lot of that makes sense to me. And he also said during this part of the episode, the reason that he's talking like that to Shannon Sharp, because he already knows he's traded. It just hadn't hit mainstream media yet. The fans don't know it yet, but he's speaking like that because it's already been decided that he's going to be moved. He's going to be traded. It's just really just a matter of time, you know. So I look at the situation totally different now. And as a Falcons fan, you know, I'm always going to be biased to the Falcons as a franchise, but I'm never biased to them. I'm never like this unreasonable super duper fan who can't be analytical and talk football. You know, from a sports perspective, I love the Falcons. Always have been watching them since I was like 4 years old. So y'all know that's been a lot of pain. But I'm never the person to get behind this mic and pretend like the Falcons don't do no wrong, because they do a lot of wrong. They've done a lot of wrong, which is why we have notoriously been such a bad team. And that goes back even further than before Arthur Blank owned the team. So it's good to hear Julio's side. It's good to hear the Falcons side. And I think both sides have valid points. You know, 2 things can be true. 3 things can be true. The Falcons can be correct on and Arthur Blank can be correct on how they viewed it. Because in all honesty, Arthur Blank kind of did the right thing to kind of, you know, even though he probably could have and should have met with Julio, if he didn't want to have his heartstrings pulled and he wanted to let football people make football decisions and stay away, you know, maybe that avoided him keeping Julio here making all that money, even though we really paid him anyway, and being hurt and not being able to perform. Same thing with Matt Ryan. So I think both sides are correct on how they view things. And again, I think both sides are probably conveniently leaving things out of the story. But it's good to hear Julio's side. It's good to hear Julio's side. It's very good to hear Julio's side. And when the Falcons are wrong, I'll tell y'all they're wrong. Y'all who have been watching for a long time, y'all know when I first started coming on showing my face, I came on banging on the Falcons. Just banging on them hard, banging on them hard. But I try to be a straight shooter in my analysis, and that don't always go well with some people. There have been times people criticize me. They say I'm too tough on the team, or hey, that's what it is, man. Like, I'm not gonna be some cream puff fan that gonna act like every player is an all-pro, every coach is an all-pro, and we always make the right decision. Every draft pick gonna be the next Lawrence Taylor. Every draft pick gonna be the next Tom Brady. Much respect to him. If I come on, if I think Desmond Ridder is not a starting quarterback, I'm gonna tell you, Desmond Ridder is not a starting quarterback. Point blank, period. I don't care how you try to dress it up. So I promise just to give it to y'all as I see it. Some people love it, some people hate it, but hey, that's life. Hey man, but it's been so real. Y'all make sure that you do hit the like button as you exit, and I hope they keep dropping these segments, and as long as they keep dropping them, we'll keep coming back, and we're gonna keep reacting to them. You know what I mean? So with that said, I'm out of here. God bless. Peace.